Happy week one, everyone. We are back. Fantasy football season. Cannot believe it's finally here. All right, our goal of this live stream starts at those of you who have been here before kind of know the drill. Those who haven't might be a little bit new to you. So what I want to point out is this: our goal is to get a 5% edge on the field. We look for defensive matchups. We look for injuries. We look for play styles. We look for all these different things. I'll try to give you quick answers, but detailed answers so you can make your best decision to make your lineup choices. Football is a weird game. You bet the spread, could go either way. Game script often goes the way we don't expect it. We expect a team to win by 10. They lose by 17. Guess what happens? Those fantasy plays don't work out like we wanted. But our goal is to get an edge, and we're going to do that all year, as we've been doing for the last number of years. I'm trying to put some rankings on the board so you have access to seeing those if it helps somebody along the way. So anyway, those are per position rankings. If it's helpful, great. If it's not, no worries. But let's get rolling with some questions here a couple minutes early. Get this thing done by beginning. All right. First question. Full point PPR, 2 receivers and a running back. Metcalf, Harrison, Neighbors, McLaurin, Ford, and Zamir White. So you need 2 receivers and a running back. Don't want to overthink this a whole lot here. Metcalf and Harrison were your top 2 picks. I'm not worried about Patrick Surtain. They play 73% zone in Denver. That's not changing. Doesn't always follow people. Metcalf should be fine. Harrison, is the matchup great with the corners? They had turnover. Buffalo, good corners. I'm still going to say they're going to trail Arizona. They're going to throw a lot. We're going to go with Harrison. Neighbors, a little bit worried about how much blitz we're going to see from Minnesota. Could be a bit of an issue for Daniel Jones, who I think is going to freak out when he sees the pressure. And so those are the 2 receivers we're going with. McLaurin is a very strong play. Not enough to put over your other 2. Running back, I'm going to go Zamir White here. With Ford, left tackle's out, Jedrick Wills. Right tackle, Conklin's a little bit banged up. Zamir White has a great matchup. The Chargers really don't profile as a team that can stop the run. That's the way I'm going. Johnny. Tight end starter is Kittle. However, Taysom Hill is a viable starter in week 1. So here's the deal with Kittle. I'm telling everybody this every year. If you have Kittle, you have to start him. You have no idea when the good weeks are coming, but you drafted him. You knew that going in. He could get 20 points any game. He can get 6 points any game. You draft Kittle, you have to start him. Now, could he block more this week? Yes. Because Trent Williams is supposed to be a full go, but he hasn't been around. Could be issues with that. It's a rough defense they're facing. We don't know Taysom Hill's role. They talked it up, but we haven't seen it. They might not need him. Alvin Kamara's legs as fresh are going to be. So I'm going to say, look, you drafted Kittle, go with him. See what Taysom Hill's role is. Decide from there next week and beyond. But you got to start Kittle. All right, Richard. Is it crazy to replace London or Metcalf with Brian Thomas? I think it would be a little crazy. I know that Jalen Ramsey of the Dolphins is probably not 100%. You have 2 elite receivers who are proven, established number 1 targets. And Brian Thomas, we don't know he's a number 1. Christian Kirk, in my mind, is still the number 1 in that offense. Could the game be a crazy shootout? Yes, but we have no idea what Brian Thomas is going to do in his first game. And he's not the slam dunk like Marvin Harrison to be like a dominant guy from day one. Don't overthink it. All right. Vol Maniac. Yes, good luck to everyone in 2024. Thank you for being here. If you can hit that like and subscribe button, it'd be greatly appreciated. Appreciate everybody for being here today. All right. Appreciate you, man. Full PPR. You're struggling with your tight end to start between Pitts or Freiermuth. I think the throws are going to be highly schemed up. I think the throws at Pickens, which you don't have, are going to be a lot of slant varieties. I think the Freiermuth throws are going to be very easy throws. Defenses won't focus. I'm going to be 2 or 3 tight ends on the field often. Look, Kyle, Freiermuth is with a quarterback, Justin Fields, and Fields starts. Fields made Cole Kmet fantasy viable. That's not an issue. That said, Pitts, we don't know. His hamstring is fine. If he practiced full Thursday and Friday, it was an abundance of caution about Wednesday. He's fine. I think in this case, you drafted him to be your number 1 guy. You play him as your number 1 guy. He has Kirk Cousins. He's an adult quarterback. He has an adult offense right now. They both are strong plays. But if you drafted Pitts right now, week 1, you don't want to overthink this one. There's nothing with the matchup about that scares me because I think Pitts is going to be used more like a wide receiver than a tight end this year. At least that's the way you would think this offense, whether Zach Robinson will run. All right. Mile High Score. More than you as well. You need some help with your flex. You got Neighbors, Coleman, McLaurin, Javonte Williams. You know, Javonte Williams, I like the matchup. Seattle could be decent against the run, but I think that whole Denver line is built to run. They're going to use multiple tight ends. They're going to throw to their running backs a lot. I think Williams see a lot of volume as a receiver. I think he has the best floor of the group, and he has a requisite ceiling to match any of them. Neighbors, again, you heard me say it a minute ago, I'm really worried about the Minnesota blitz and Daniel Jones not wanting to pull the trigger, in under the blitz. And I think he's going to be doing hot reads more than he's going to be able to throw it out. If you feel otherwise, start Neighbors. McLaurin, again, I like his potential this week, but I think Javonte Williams is way safer. And so I think that would be I'd go Williams. If you want the boom bust play, I really think McLaurin's your boom bust because he could have that big game. Neighbors for me, I'm worried about Jones and the blitz. That's me. All right, Ethan, half point. You need 2. Chase Brown, Odunze, McConkey, Myers, and Yoshi Voss. I do like Yoshi Voss, but man, I don't even know what the Chase deal is. We're still talking. He's supposed to play today. He was warming up on the field. Don't know what his snap counts would be. Higgins, we're not going to see him. But that could be worse for Yoshi Voss because the less receivers out there means the better coverage he may see. So that's a little bit nervous. Chase Brown, I think it's a split workload here. New England has been typically good against the run, but the receiving part, Brown could be fine. Odunze, I really need to wait and see on him because I don't know how many 3 receiver sets they're running. I don't know how Keenan Allen is health-wise. There's a lot of questions we're not going to get answered here. McConkey, I do think, has a stable floor of 5 catches. I don't think it goes more than 7. The yardage is probably in the 50 range. Jacoby Myers, I don't think the Raiders are going to throw. I'm going to power run here. So I'm going to rank them out. I'm going to put Chase Brown at number 1. I'm going to put McConkey at number 2. But if you want to go boom bust over McConkey, I think Odunze would be your boom bust guy. You can risk not a lot of involvement, but if he does get involved, yeah, he could have a game. So that's the way I would go with that. And then you got the Bucks, Chargers, or Dolphins D. You know what? The Bucks are now 2 defensive ends here. They've turned over in their secondary. They're playing a bad offense, but I don't think that matters here. Dolphins defense, too much turnover. Chargers, stars, and scrubs. I still got to go with the Bucks there. I got to go because the Bucks are going to blitz. The Bucks are going to blitz, and that could be. None of them are good options, but I'm going to go with the Bucks here. Jay, you have Connor. Do you go with Murray or Burrow? You know what? I'm struggling with Burrow this week because if Chase is going to be limited, if Higgins is out, what's left? And I hate the vibes in Cincinnati right now. Kyler Murray's going to be in a shootout. Murray's going to run. Murray's going to throw. I think they're going to have to score 30 points in this game, and I think they can. So I think you could load up your Cardinals and not really worry about it. Do you go with the Bills or the Texans? Texans are probably giving up a lot of points to the Colts. They can't stop their run game, I don't think. You know what? Even though the Bills are going to give up a lot of points, I think there could be sacks that go with that as well. I think the Bills are a better play because of that. T. Higgins, doubtful, not expecting him to play Morningside Marketing. There's word that breaks otherwise, but I just don't see him being a factor in this game. So yeah, not so good for T. Higgins. Dude Love, I just heard me talk about Burrow a moment ago. Look, Cousins, we haven't seen him. There's no dedicated beat reporter in Atlanta, but his Achilles is fine and he has weapons, and Pittsburgh's a tougher matchup, but Atlanta's at home. And they have real legitimate weapons. And he could even throw to Bijan out of the backfield. I'm going to go Cousins here, because I think Burrow is not in a great spot. New England might not be the defense that we're Belichick, but I think with Chase probably limited and no Higgins, what's left? So you got to go with Cousins, I think. Tom, good to see you, man. Good to see you back. Glad to see everybody's back. Steve, more into you as well. You need a flex and a receiver. You got Pickens, Demario Douglas, Jalen Warren, Shakir, and Darnell Mooney. My worry about Demario Douglas is Mike Hilton mans the slot for Cincy, and he's kind of an ace slot corner, so that kind of mutes that matchup a bit. I don't think we could sit Pickens. I really don't. Look, A.J. Terrell will be on him a little bit, and not all the time. Terrell's a good corner, but if Pickens could use up play action slants, I don't think you could sit Pickens. You drafted him knowing what you were getting, that there's a guy that could really have a breakout year, just regardless of quarterback. And even with Justin Fields last year, if he starts, look, we saw DJ Moore of a 1,300-yard season. So, yeah, I think you play Pickens and, sleep well at night or during the day. Now, between Warren, Shakir, and Mooney, I do think that the Bills are going to be able to score a lot of points, score at will. So Shakir's a high floor play. Warren, he's fine from the hamstring, but if this game either they fall behind or if they go way ahead, I don't know if they preserve him and just make sure he's better for next week. I think that uncertainty says Warren is probably has a better floor than Shakir, though. So he has a better floor. I think Shakir might have a better ceiling. So if you want the safest play, it's going to be Pickens and Warren. If you want to take a little bit of a risk, Pickens and Shakir would be the way I would go. Mooney, again, compared to your other options, maybe not so much. Dude Love, half PPR, you need 2 in the flex. You got Ayuk, Olave, Harrison, and Neighbors, 2 and a flex. You know what? Of this group, and as much as you heard me say about Neighbors and the blitz, and I'm worried, Ayuk's going to play limited snaps. He hasn't done anything in camp, so he may not be at his sharpest right now. And you have 3 good options. So I'm going to say that Jets defense is going to be very problematic. They're going to put some heat on Purdy. They have 3 great corners. I hate to ever sit Ayuk, but I know he's probably not playing a full snap share. And if the game goes one way or the other, like a big lead either way, then I think he could even sit down for a while and get him preserved for week 2, short week. So I would probably play my other 3 great options and call it a day. Shooksen, so glad to see you, man. Full PPR. You got Metcalf, you got Olave and Jones. Oh man, you got to give me a first and last time. I get like a million names coming through the pike here. But I tell you what, Metcalf, I'm not worried about Surtain. You heard me say earlier, Denver played 73% zone last year. So it's not like he's going to be like fully assigned to him all day. And Metcalf's going to get his. Olave, he'll see a little bit of the top corner in JC Horn in Carolina. So, Olave's fine, but that's a little bit of that. He's not going to see this question for a long time. I probably got a lot, but just remind me which Jones, because like I said, so many names flying through here. I just not going to be able to process it. Max, more than you as well. Appreciate listening to that Saturday show on XM. Remember XM, if you have channel 87, we're on Saturdays, 2 to 4 Eastern, Sunday mornings, 9 to 10 Eastern. Love to have you around for that as well. Remember, a lot of stuff on the X at Jim Coventry NFL. Please consider giving me a follow if you're not already. All right, let's see what we got here. It begins 12-team standard. You're starting your ETN. You got Aaron Jones or Jaleel McLaughlin. All right, so Aaron Jones should get significantly more volume than Jaleel McLaughlin. We saw at the end of last year, even when McLaughlin played well, we saw that Peyton limited his work. How do you keep an explosive back explosive? You limit his work. So that would be my. So Aaron Jones to me should see significant work. The matchup to me is not a problem. Probably see some screen passes too. Flex spot, DJ Moore or Diggs. So yeah, you can't go wrong here. I do think that the Titans do not present anything that concerns me. I know they have L'Jarius Sneed, new system. He doesn't have Steve Spagnuolo. I think he's a good corner. I don't think, aside from a new system, I just think DJ Moore is that superstar player. And Diggs obviously has been a star too, but now he's got to share with Nico and he's got to share with Tank Dell. They're both good plays. I think DJ Moore is a better floor in this one, so I'm going to go with DJ Moore. Shooksen and Deontay Johnson versus Smith and Jigba. Deontay Johnson I like this week. The 2 corners for New Orleans are very physical. They're like bump. They're gonna bump you, they're gonna get their hands on you. But Deontay Johnson's not that receiver. He gets underneath and he's slippery. So I think it's a very positive matchup for him. I love JSN every week, but I think Deontay Johnson is a better floor this week because, again, those corners, he's a stylistic matchup advantage, I think. Smith and Jigba, look, we haven't seen him in this new offense. I expect he's going to be a big deal, but I don't know that yet. But Deontay Johnson, he has to get a high floor of targets, especially the way his quarterback plays. B. Alley, Montgomery, or Ford. Again, with left tackle out for the Browns, right tackle limited. Dallas they switched their defense to Mike Zimmer. They used to be a bad run defense. They're going to completely change the way they approach that. So Montgomery should be in a shootout here. If they get a lead, they probably use him to grind the clock down late, especially with Gibbs saying he's at 98% with a hamstring, meaning he's not 100%. So I think Montgomery is the play here. I don't know how many points Cleveland is actually scoring here. So there's that. Quick report here. NFL Network's Mike Garafolo reports Kyle Shanahan expressed confidence in Christian McCaffrey playing in week 1. That's still the word out there. It's funny that they're saying confidence. It's not like 100% full go. You're starting McCaffrey no matter what, but just understand he clearly is not 100% right now because every report that's come out has been like optimism, but not complete full go. Delroy, Swift or Singletary? I'm gonna go with Swift here. Singletary, he's a compiler, he's fine, But I think overall, Minnesota, Ivan Pace at linebacker is going to be able to plug the hole pretty well. That line has got a little better in New York. I still think Swift is going to be used multidimensionally, and I think there's going to be room for him. The linebackers from the Titans don't really concern me a whole lot. So I think Swift can get some done in the receiving game as well. I think Swift is the better play in this one, 55 to 45% on that one. I should start giving percentages on some of these too. Delroy, you got Ferguson or Dalton Kincaid. Love them both. I think Dalton Kincaid is in a great spot here. I think they're with them playing the Cardinals, who have a horrific defense, no pass rush, no coverage. Budda Baker's a good player, but there really isn't much else. I think Kincaid could be the number one receiver on that team. I think this game is a big time shootout. I love them both, but Kincaid is like a 65-35% edge here. Mark, half PPR, you need a running back too, Zach Moss or Brian Robinson Jr. So Tampa Bay is down both of their defensive ends, which should help Brian Robinson in this game. I think that this game should stay relatively close enough where Brian Robinson could be a factor as a runner throughout. It shouldn't be one of those games they trail big and they got to just put out Robinson for Eckler. So I think there's something there. Zach Moss is facing New England defense that's traditionally very good against the run. And I think Chase Brown's mixed in, so that's going to kind of limit any upside. I give Brian Robinson the 45% edge here. Ethan, full point, you need one. Christian Kirk, Zamir White, Hubbard, or Shakir. You need one. I still think that offense runs through Christian Kirk. I think he's the lead receiver. I think Miami at home is going to score a lot of points, as they always do. So I think that means that there's a shootout potential. So I love Christian Kirk there. Zamir White's not far behind because the Chargers can't stop the run. And I do think the Raiders are going to play defense. They're going to run the ball, and White's going to be heavily featured. I love both of them fairly equally. White is more likely to score a touchdown, but Kirk is in a good spot to catch 6+ passes. I give Kirk a 51-49 edge. It's that close, but I give him the edge here because it should be a shootout here. Vinny, we're back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Full point PPR, Montgomery or Connor. Got to go Connor here. Buffalo is going to be in a shootout with Arizona most likely. Very high over and under total on this game. Connor, as the coach has said, he is the bell cow running back in his backfield. Trey Benson is not a major threat. He's going to take some work. Connor's not playing 100% of the snaps. He's playing like 75, 80, but that's normal for a lead back. Monty doesn't catch many passes anymore. Now, Connor last year didn't, but remember, down the stretch, he had 2 games of Kyler Murray who had 57 and 64 receiving yards. So Murray uses Connor as a receiver, and especially if the coverage is good in the secondary, he will dump to him. I'm going to go Connor 70-30 here. Delroy, Kincaid or Ferguson. I answered for somebody else, and I gave Kincaid a 65-35, and I'm definitely standing by that. Swift or Singletary, I think I answered that for somebody as well, and I gave Swift the significant edge over Singletary. Jameson Williams, PPR or Spears. Spears is supposed to be in a timeshare. The Bears are a good run defense, and at home they tend to play a little better than on the road. They get kind of amped up at home. I've seen that over the past couple of years. Jameson Williams, we're not quite sure what he is yet, but cornerback Darius Williams is on the injury reserve for the Rams, and they have no pass rush. I know they drafted the kids Fisk and Jared Verse, but Aaron Donald's gone. Ernest Jones, their blitzer's gone. I'm going with Jameson Williams here. I think Spears might have a safer floor, but the floor isn't real high. So I think that's enough to say, give J-Mo a shot here. I think they're going to use him pretty creatively too. Foxborough News, 16-man, half PPR. You have Kyler Murray and Goff and Fields for today. Love Kyler Murray, love Goff. Fields, Fields could run, right? He could do something there, but I think Goff is a beautiful match. I just said the Rams, no Aaron Donald, no Ernest Jones, no Darius Williams. Their defensive coordinator's gone. I think the Lions score at will. Kyler Murray's a great play as well, and of course he can run. I think because of the running ability, it's a 50-50 shot. Goff is safer. Goff is completely safer because I don't see a path where he doesn't do well at home against his defense. Murray, things could go off the rails. I don't think they will. I think Murray has more upside. I think Murray could have a monster game, but there's a little more risk. So it's really risk. If you want the safest play, it's Goff, who is strong floor, strong ceiling. If you want Murray, little less floor, but a bigger ceiling, that's the way. Fields, I don't think with this group you need to consider him. Foxborough News, you have Marvin Harrison. I have my rankings up there, so I don't know what the other question. I can't remember. So many questions fly through. But with Harrison, just I have Harrison pretty solid, lower than most weeks. I think this matchup isn't great, but they're going to have to score a lot of points. Yeah, Tyreek Hill, apparently he got pulled over. His agent said he's playing today. He up here, detained by police after a traffic incident, but he's available for today's game. So he got pulled a block from the Dolphin Stadium. So that's the thing. It was more than a couple hours before the game. So I think the warm-up's not going to be a big deal, and I think they'll get him out pretty quickly. So I wouldn't downgrade Hill at all. But hey, I don't know. He was trying to get to the game probably to beat a deadline. I have no idea what happened. I have no idea. It could have been speeding to try to get to the game, to the stadium. I don't know, because coaches a lot of times tell you this is the time we need you. Murray or Richardson, oh gee whiz. Well, it's so tough because both teams should score a lot of points. Both quarterbacks should run. Richardson, in theory, has a better match because Houston has a lot of turnover on their defense from last year. Pass rush doesn't really worry me because if they get a pass rush, Richardson might just take off. They're both great plays. I'm going to go Richardson 53 to 47% over Murray because I think Richardson has more likely ability to run for more than Murray does. KJ Frederick, Jonnu Smith, or Noah Fant. Oh man, that's an equal one there, right? They're going to run 3 receiver sets in Seattle and spread the field out. And with Jonnu Smith, he's supposed to be weaponized as a third weapon in the passing game. We have no idea what either of their usage is going to be. Here's what I'm going to tie break it on. I think that Miami and Jacksonville game can really have a potential to shoot out, whereas I could see that Seattle and Denver game being a little lower scoring. So I'm going to default to the potential game script to give Jonnu Smith a 47% edge over Noah Fant. Joseph, Ridley, Diggs, or Curtis Samuel as a sleeper. You need to pick 2. You know what? Curtis Samuel is healthy enough to play here, but he has, he's probably lost some chemistry with Josh Allen by not being healthy throughout camp. So I'm just going to go with Ridley and Diggs. Both of them have been healthy through the offense in the offseason with their new teams. And for Ridley, Hopkins is a game time decision. It means he's not 100%. If he plays, he's not there. So I'm going to go with Ridley, Diggs, and call it a day. David, starting Tua or Trevor Lawrence, but Cousins is available. Again, I expect that game to shoot out in Miami. Cousins, it's not the best matchup against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is on the road, so that helps. But you got Bijan and Drake London, so you know what though, they both could get it done. Bijan could get done as a runner. Drake could have a big game, but that doesn't necessarily mean Cousins has to do that, right? I think they're all fairly equal plays. I think Tua, though, gonna have Hill ready to roll. It's week 1. I think Tua gets a slight edge over them. Lawrence is a little iffy because we're not sure if they're going to lean on ETN a little bit more. I'm going to give Tua a 52-48 edge over Cousins. But if you really want that stack, trust your gut on that. But I think week 1, Tua at home should be a decent play for you. Henry, Hubbard, Najee, or Stevenson, full PPR. Cincinnati was a terrible run defense last year, and they lost their best run defender, DJ Reader, and who's now with the Lions. He may not play for them today, but that's another story for another day. And I think with T. Higgins out and not sure what's going on with Jamar Chase, I think this game is closer than the 8-point spread, which means Stevenson could be involved for 4 quarters. I'm going to give Stevenson the edge here because I think he gets the most usage of this group, and he has the best chance to be productive in the situation. Boss man, start 1 in the flex. You got Alvin Kamara, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, Jerome Ford. Now you're in a great spot here. I've been out on Alvin Kamara in drafts, but I tell you what, this is the best week to start him. Carolina, they do have Shaq Thompson's a good linebacker and against the run, and Derek Brown, the defensive end's a really good run defender, but they don't have really other good pieces against the run, and I don't like their coverage out of the backfield against running backs. Kamara has fresh legs right now. It's week 1. They're as fresh as they're going to be. I think if there's a week to start Kamara, it's this one. Obviously, you can't go wrong. DJ Moore has great ceiling. Chris Godwin has probably a high floor. Jerome Ford probably not in this group. With left tackle out and the right tackle dinged up, that probably is enough to scare me off. I'm going to give Kamara a very slight edge, but if you want to go for potential big game ceiling, boom, the real boom potential, DJ Moore has that. Kamara is safer with a reasonable ceiling. George, hello to you. What to do with Chase? What I'm telling everybody is literally wait until game time, like close to game time, and check Twitter to see if there's any report from the sideline as to what his status is. I mean, he's not playing a full game. You sit him if you have like another like top 30 receiver, you might consider it. But if Chase gets 20 snaps, he could catch 2 passes for 80 yards and a touchdown and call it a day. So check like any sideline reports on Twitter up till game time. I see I got some of these super chat. I got 3 of them. So I'm going to answer these right now. I got some people that paid up, so thank you for doing that. Sideshow Mill, I don't see a question attached. I got to find, or if you have, hopefully you have a question attached to it somewhere. And Joseph, Stevenson, Dobbins, or Austin Eckler. You heard me talking about Stevenson a moment ago. And again, I just think the matchup's beautiful for him. I think the game is closer than the spread indicates. And I think that means Stevenson's a factor. The offensive line is not great, but the Cincy run defense is bad. And like I said, they lost DJ Reader. And then Chris Morales, Goff, or Richardson. So Goff is in a great spot this week. But if you drafted Richardson, I just don't think you could sit him. What he scored in the games he played last week are numbers Goff doesn't often get to, even in a great matchup. Goff has a beautiful matchup, but it's really hard to sit Richardson when he's healthy. You drafted him to break fantasy football, and this is the week you could see that. So I think you got to play Richardson, even though Goff has an enormously wonderful matchup. And then you got McLaurin or Javonte Williams, half PPR. I'm going to go Williams here. I think Williams is heavily involved. I think his floor is really good. I think he's going to be used as a receiver as well. I'm not scared off by the matchup at all. I like McLaurin this week, but I like Javonte Williams for usage and bankable usage better than that. All right, and if I can find your question, Sideshow Mill, I'll definitely answer it for you. Let me see if I can find it somewhere in here. Oh, there it is. Found your question. You need to pick 2 from Rachaad White, Aaron Jones, and Javonte Williams. Oh, that's a tough one. They all 3 should see excellent usage. They all have good floor ceiling potential. I do think Rachaad White has a nice matchup against Washington. Washington is just their tackles are good, but he's going to get it done as a receiver. All that said, you drafted White to be your guy. So I'm going to say, because you drafted White to be your guy, there's nothing compelling enough to move him out. And I'm going to give Aaron Jones the edge over Javonte Williams, because I do think Jones still is a superstar and he's going to get enough work with the defense focusing on those receivers. Love all 3 of them. And if you have a gut feel, go with it. But again, you drafted White to be your guy, and right now he should get a lot of work. So I think you got to run with that for right now. All right, let me see where in the list of questions I was at. Steve, you got Pickens, Mooney, Shakir. You need 1. Look, again, like I said, you drafted Pickens to be your guy. AJ Terrell's a good corner. I'm not scared off by him to sit my player. I'm not going to do that. So I got to go with Pickens. Mooney I like, but it's really a dart throw. Shakir, we're not quite sure what his function in the offense. We like the anticipation of the possibility, but right now Pickens is their number 1, and it's a clear number 1. News: Tom Pelissero of NFL Network reports a pretty even split between Ezekiel Elliott and Rico Dowdle. I want to point this out, though. I think Dowdle does get between the 20s work, but for fantasy, what good is that, right? He could get you 20 carries for 70 yards, or he can get you 15 carries for 52 yards. But I don't think he's catching a lot of passes. I don't think he's a goal line back. So it might be an even split. But if Elliott's getting the passing down work because he can block like a fiend and he can run like an ace at the goal line, I think Elliott gets all the fantasy touches that are important. So if you have Elliott, again, are you flexing him? Dowdle, I think, is a lot of empty carries. He's not a good running back. And the offensive line is a real question. All right, Colton, who's starting your flex? Deontay, Tyjae Spears, or Pollard, or Josh Palmer? Well, yeah, the Bears are going to be probably a decent run defense at home, and that split's going to be maddening, and it's going to be a hot hand, and that makes it problematic. Palmer, I don't know how much they have to throw. I definitely like Palmer here. I think Deontay Johnson's safest because of the short throws, and again, those physical corners from New Orleans. Well, Johnson's slippery underneath. He's not going to engage with them. I think Johnson's your safest play of all of them. In terms of the biggest upside, if Pollard gets hot, which I don't know that he will, I could see Pollard like getting hot and having a big, but I could also see him starting out slow, and then it's a total slog for him. So I think Johnson's your safest play. That's what I would say. If you want to go boom bust, I would take the flyer on Pollard, but there's nothing wrong with the safe play at times. Jarrett, full PPR. Need 3. Olave, Kirk, Cooper, Deontay Johnson, or that's a good problem to have. You got a great group of receivers. I like Olave here. They're going to use play action. They're not going to use him on go routes this year. They're going to use him a lot more on angled routes, which is more to his sweet spot. Kirk, I think, is a shootout, and the offense runs through him. And look, am I excited about the Cooper matchup with Dallas? The corners aren't that bad problem because Trevon Diggs coming back from an ACL. They lost Deron Bland. They lost Stephon Gilmore. The pass rush could be a real problem. But Cooper had at least 90 yards in 4 of the 5 games he played with Deshaun Watson last year. And so I've got to just roll. I'm going to go with those top 3. Look, Godwin could have a game, and Deontay Johnson has a good floor. But I think you go with your 3 top players here, and you kind of call it a day. Colton, you have Curtis Samuel and Shakir. I don't know. You have dealing with the flex. I'm not putting those. Yeah, the other. We're going to stick with who you had because Samuel doesn't have a lot of chemistry with Alex. He missed so much time. Shakir, we're not quite sure, again, how heavily involved he's going to be. So we'll stick with the answer we had on that. Delroy, half PPR. And I answered this for somebody else. Look, you drafted Richardson. He could break fantasy football. There's nothing scary about the matchup with Houston. As great as Goff's matchup is, you got to go at Richardson, I think, because you drafted him for that. You drafted him to be like this massive performer for you. I don't think he could cute with it. Goff could outscore him. The likelihood of Richardson outscoring Goff is greater, though. Ford or Kirk. I'm going with Kirk here. Ford, they're down their left tackle. Their right tackle's dinged up. Dallas guy's new coach, Mike Zimmer, coaching the defense. They should be much better against the run this year. Kirk, the offense should run through. I'm going to go Kirk. Peter, Guillotine League, PPR Flex, Blake Corum, Mike Williams, Adonai Mitchell, or Taysom Hill. I'd like to think Corum is going to be involved here. They're playing Detroit, but we don't know. We really don't know. If there's any benefit of doubt to Kyron Williams, is going to be week 1. Mike Williams, I heard limitations on his workload. Adonai Mitchell is supposed to move more into the slot with Josh Downs out. Taysom Hill, again, the coaching staff talked him up, but we haven't seen the new coaching staff of him. I'm going to go with Adonai Mitchell here because I think this game shoots out. He's going to see almost full-time snaps because of the loss of Josh Downs. He really should be the de facto number 2. That would be my any of these guys could hit. Any of them, and you know that because you put this good question up. I think because of the situation and the matchup, Adonai Mitchell gets a very slight edge. Boss man, other team, pick one. Christian Kirk, Godwin, McLaurin, or Ridley. Again, of this group, I think Kirk has the highest floor, and I'm going to lean to that. Calvin Ridley probably sees a lot of Jalen Johnson. I don't know how often he matches him. That's not a good matchup for him. McLaurin, we got a lot of moving parts with the new quarterback, offensive line issues. Godwin and Kirk are very close to even, but I think the likelihood of Kirk being in a shootout gives him a slight edge over the others. Craig, Njoku, or Schultz. So Indy played like 93% zone last year, is the highest rate in the league, and that means that there should be stuff open underneath. But Houston didn't care last year. They shredded with Nico Collins. He averaged like 170 yards a game against them. So the zone didn't even matter. They can go to their receivers without like penalty. So Schultz, in theory, could do well here. I think those screens we saw in Njoku last year, and I know Njoku didn't do great with Watson. I think they're really going to need him against Dallas. I think he's going to be like an outlet for them. So I give Njoku like a 60-40 edge over Schultz. Sauger, good morning. Good to see you back. Any thoughts on picking the Falcons against the Steelers? I honestly, Sauger, I wouldn't touch that one. That game is a complete coin flip. It's going to like a random turnover is going to flip that game, and I don't know who is going to have it. The Bears, in my mind, are somebody to think about. They're at home. They have a better roster across the board. They have a consistent. The defensive scheme is the same. Their defense should play a little bit faster. Those younger guys are another camp in. I think the Bears have a decent chance. It's a tough week, but I think that game is the Steelers Falcons. I think that's too close to call because there's going to be something stupid's going to happen in that game, and I just can't know who it's going to happen and how it's going to happen. Kelvin, full PPR flex, Montgomery, Ford, Cooper. Cooper should have the safest floor in this with PPR. Like I said, he had 90 or more yards in 4 of his 5 games with Deshaun Watson last year. So Montgomery has a chance to do really well. They don't use him as a receiver much. From the week 10 on last year, they kind of phased him out there. Ford, again, with Zimmer coaching the defense in Dallas, I'm a little less optimistic in the 2 line injuries. I'm going to give Cooper the edge here. Sideshow Mill. Aaron, I think we answered this one for somebody else. I think we went you drafted Rashad White, you go with White. Oh, and if you're getting, by the way, anybody out there, you're not getting your question answered. I just got to get through all the questions that are here. So whenever yours is up in the queue, I will answer it. But you may have asked a question at a certain time. I have no idea how many questions that we have. I just keep scrolling and looking for the new one. So please be patient and I will get to you. All right. So but we went Rashad White because you drafted him. Then we went Aaron Jones 2 and Williams 3 on that. Carlos, need help. Choose 3 starters: Chase, Jefferson, Collins, Olave, Kirk, Pittman. Since you have such excellent options and there's a chance that Chase doesn't play a full game, we don't know his conditioning level. I think since you have the ability to have 3 great players, Collins shredded Indy twice last year. Jefferson should be absolutely fine. And I just Olave and Kirk are pretty even. So I think overall, I think you go with the alpha, who's probably going to see more likely to see 10 targets. You can't go wrong with any of these guys. They all have a great situation. I'm just going to go Jefferson, Collins, and Olave, go with the 3 most talented players aside from Chase, and call that one a day. I got a super chat question, and then I'll come back to enough said. See what I got here. Joseph, oh man, Joseph, appreciate you. Go Lions, yes. Oh, I think they're going to win. I'm definitely going to take them in the with the minus the points, and money line certainly pay up for that. But yeah, I think they're in a good shape for week 1. Thank you, Joseph, appreciate you. And all right, let's see where we were at. I need looking for enough said here. All right, Seattle D, Bears D, or Dolphins D. I like the Bears D here. Look, Will Levis, a new offense, learning a second offense in 2 years. DeAndre Hopkins, game time decision. Bears defense tends to play fast at home. Kids are growing up. Dolphins defense, too much turnover. Seattle defense, the middle of the field. I think that there's going to be success on the ground with the running backs and through the air for the running backs for Denver. I don't think they turn it over a lot. So I'm going to go with the Bears D here. Lawrence, Panthers, rookie tight end. Yeah, it is a sneaky play for sure because you got other 2 tight ends are out. Ian Thomas on the IR and Tommy Trumbull's out, I believe. And I mean, so the potential, I think it's a lower scoring game, but it depends if you had any other options. But I mean, I don't know what Jatavius Sanders will do here, but the potential is for him to get 4 or 5 targets. I think that's squarely in play because 2 tight ends out, that moves him up the chain. So I think the potential for 4 to 5 targets, I just don't know what he's going to get with those, but it's a sneaky play. It is a sneaky play. I just don't, and he would have a chance to score. Big target in the red zone, right? Ayuk or Pickens? Joey, just because Ayuk probably isn't the full go here, and because the Jets have 3 insane corners, they have a pass rush that Purdy could be under some heat. I'm going to go with Pickens and call it a day because Pickens will play all the snaps. I mean, as many as he'll play, if it's 80% or whatever, but that'd be a normal workload for him. Nothing scary about AJ Terrell doesn't scare me enough off of Pickens. So, and the quarterbacks should be able to work with him just fine, especially in the play action slants. Roshan Johnson inactive for week 1. DeAndre Hopkins is active. Keenan Allen is active. All right, just popping those through as I see him here. Jamar Chase is active with an illness. I guess he actually did have an illness, but all right. Chris, I got to go with Tua here. I got to go with Goff here. The matchup is too good. No Aaron Donald, no Ernest Jones, no Darius Williams, the corners on IR, no Raheem Morris, the coach is gone. I just don't know what's left on that defense. I know they got young kids and all this, but Goff's at home, and the matchup could not be better. Tua has a good matchup as well, but it's not as good as Goff's matchup. And just Goff's safer. Goff is just way safer to me. Hey, JKM83. Yeah, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Non-PPR need a running back and a flex. James Cook, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, Zamir White, Keenan Allen, Tank Dell, Malik Neighbors, and you need running back and a flex. James Cook workload may not be as heavy as it was last year. They brought in Ray Davis, but man, the Cardinals can't stop anybody. So you got to go with James Cook. You drafted him fairly high. And you got to play him in this matchup. If you're not going to start him in this matchup, then you're not starting him at all. And of the remaining group, man, Tank Dell is interesting because he could have a big game. We still don't know what the shakeout of those 3 receivers is going to be. Zamir White's the safest second play because the Chargers cannot stop the run. The Raiders can power run. And I think White is a very safe, strong play. But if you want to go boom bust for that play, then it would be Tank Dell because I could see a world where he erupts, but I could also see a world where he gets 3 catches for, 27 yards and we're done. So that's the way I would frame that one. All right. Michael Jimenez, pick starting Hill, pick 2 to choose. Godwin, Pickens, Andre Yoshibas. Let's not get cute here. It's a great call. I love it. Yoshibas will probably get a lot of playing time. Patriots corners are not bad. And I know Belichick might have helped him, but they're still a good group of corners. And I'm not ready. And maybe Andre Yoshibas has a big game. Maybe he does. But the Patriots corners are good enough that scares me because you got Godwin and Pickens. You got 2 very star level type players. Neither of them has a scary matchup. And so I'm just going to not overthink this one. I'm going to go with the guys I drafted. If Yoshibas has a good game on your bench, then God bless him. But I think you would kick yourself if he didn't do anything and Godwin or Pickens did well. Enough said. Running backs: Bijan, Achane, Connor, Chubb. You need 2. Chubb's on the injured list. He'll be out for at least 4 games. You can't sit Bijan Robinson. Here's what I'll tell you for the other 2. Achane is your boom bust play. We know that when he's rolling, he can go off. We also know he's probably in a timeshare. Connor has a higher floor. Buffalo should not be very scary against the run. With Kyler Murray, Connor will be used as a receiver at times. The coach said he's the bell cow back. Connor's the safest one, but if you want to shoot for the big upside, Achane would potentially be your player there. Who would I pick up on waivers? You need Charbonnet, McLaughlin, Algier, and Dowdle. It really is all Dowdle. I'm going to say no to because I don't think he gets the receiving work. I don't think he gets the goal line. I think it's a lot of empty carries. Of the other 3, really, it's all whichever running back you want to attach him to. Like, which one do you think is going to get hurt the most? Each of those players would be dynamite if the starter went down. Since you have Bijan, just make it real easy. Take Algier because if Bijan goes down, Algier is going to be a very good component. Standard scoring: Adonai Mitchell or Brian Thomas. I think it's more likely that Jacksonville throws a lot of passes than Indy throws a lot of passes. Therefore, I'm going to Brian Thomas. Indy may be able to run a lot here. Fly Mac, I am going with McLaurin here. I'm not scared at all of the Tampa Bay corners. The 2 defensive ends are out, so the little pass rush they had might be even less. And Dallas's defense should be better against the run this year, but we also have Cleveland's left tackles out there. Right tackles banged up. Chris, morning to you. Appreciate you. Half point. You got Malik Neighbors or Terry McLaurin. That's a tough one. I think they're both fairly equal plays. Again, I think that blitz that Minnesota's going to send, I think Daniel Jones is not going to respond well to it. And I think they could press cover for 2 seconds, and that's going to probably freaked out Daniel Jones. I could be wrong. I think McLaurin's safer this week. I just heard me talk about the matchup. I'd give McLaurin a 51 to 49% edge. If your gut says Neighbors, go with Neighbors because I've just been kind of like Daniel Jones scares the heck out of me here. I don't think he's going to hold up the pressure. That's my whole thing on it. Zamir White or Javonte Williams. Love them both. I think Zamir White has a better matchup. The Chargers can't stop the run. And I think the Raiders, his game will be close throughout. So I think White gets heavy volume. And I don't think he's going to share as much work as Javonte has. I'm going to give White a 51-49 edge here. But and because it was full point PPR, I'd give Javonte Williams the edge because I think there's 4 catches potentially in it for him. Ramsey, more into you. Wide receiver, standard league, Debo, Ridley, or Diggs. You know what? I think Debo's in a good spot this week. We know the 3 corners and the Jets are great, but Debo gets used so creatively. They get him underneath the coverage. They'll get him the ball, especially with Ayuk maybe being limited on snaps and Kittle maybe being needed to block more because Trent Williams, like he's supposed to play the full game, but what kind of shape is he in? I'm going to give Debo the edge. I really think this is the perfect type of game where they can weaponize him a bit. I'm going to give him the edge. Diggs, I don't know that anyone's safer than the other. They kind of got to use Debo, and McCaffrey's limited, I think, because that calf. So I'm gonna go Debo there. It's a good call on that one. Good question, I should say. Enough said. Scary Terry or Najee. I like Najee this week. Jalen Warren, I guess he's cleared to go and all that, but is he really healthy? And I have to think about that for a minute. Russell Wilson's inactive, everyone, by the way. Tyreek Hill is active. Let me get back to this question a second. The Cowboys signed Dak Prescott to a 4-year, $240 million extension, so he's safe. T. Higgins is inactive as expected. Jalen Wright of the Dolphins, the third running back, is inactive, so you pretty much just count on a Mostert and Achane backfield. The Bills, no special inactives. A.T. Perry of New Orleans is inactive. If you're in a super, super, super deep league and you are desperate for like a deep end flex and you're willing to risk a 0 for like an 8, Cedric Wilson could get a little bit of run, but I would not. It's like you're in a 16 team league. I'm talking about something like that and you're deep, but you're not considering him otherwise. Tyreek Hill says fine. Russell, so Justin Fields makes the start. Justin Fields has to now slot in. He won't be reflected on my quarterback rankings. I would probably put him you see my rankings on the screen. I would put him at quarterback 12, right behind Caleb Williams at this point. That's where I would put him for this week. No change to the value of Freiermuth or Pickens, and no special moves by the Vikings. Cardinals, no special moves. The Giants, nothing crazy. Cam Akers for the Texans inactive. No great shakes there. Damian Pierce is the number 2 anyway. All right, let's get back to the questions. So enough said too. I'm going to go with Najee Harris here. I think his floor is really good. I know that Isaac Sumolo, the left guard, is out, but they're going to run a lot of heavy personnel, 2-3 tight ends, and I really think they're going to be able to run downhill on the Falcons. So I think Najee's floor is a lot safer. I think you want to go boom bust to Terry McLaurin because he could have that game, but we still got to trust Jaden Daniels, the rookie quarterback. I just think week 1, you kind of take the safest floor play and hope for some ceiling. I'm going Najee, 52 to 48%. Carlos Valdez, Kincaid or Pitts. I got to go Kincaid here. I want Pitts to have a great season, but I think Kincaid has that matchup against the Bills. I'm sorry, against the Cardinals. They can't cover anybody, and Kincaid could be the number 1 target in the offense. I'm not ruling that out for a second. I think that week is going to be a shootout, whereas I think Pitts is in a game where it's lower scoring. So I think that shootout potential gives the edge, and I think it's like a 60 to 40 edge for Kincaid for me on that one. Flymac, Ford, or McLaurin at the flex. I'm going to go with McLaurin there. Ford's matchup. Dallas would be better against the run with Mike Zimmer coaching the defense. McLaurin overall has a good matchup. Zabby, good to see you. Yep. Got to sit one. All right, what do you got here? Half PPR. Chase, Ayuk, or Mostert. Oh, man. So you got the 2 guys that are playing limited snaps. Mostert's in a timeshare as it is. Jacksonville should be a little bit better against the run than they were last year. You've got to sit one. You know this one is going to – there's so many variables. Look, Chase is playing. I might sit Ayuk. I might sit Ayuk because lessen snaps and the Jets trio of corners, and they might get Brock Purdy off his spot a little bit. I'm probably gonna sit Ayuk, but as you say, you can't lose with those 3. You got 3 great options, even on limited usage. Steve, point per completion league, Cousins or Murray? I think that Atlanta-Pittsburgh game is a lot of running in it. I don't think there's a lot of pass attempts. Kyler Murray should be in a shootout. I'm going to give Murray the edge, like 65 to 35 on that one. Just average. Should I stash Fields? Yes, 100% stash Fields, because if Fields has a good game today, the coaching staff, I don't think Russell Wilson did enough where they're going to be like, we're just going to throw you back in there. If Justin Fields has a good game, you have a quarterback 1 the rest of the season. So because Arthur Smith will run his quarterback. So yes, I do think you stash that for a bench receiver. I like Mooney, but if you can get a quarterback 1 for free, I think you do that. And Lawrence, somebody else asked the same question again. Like, I think Jatavian Sanders is sneaky. I don't know what his upside is. I don't even know what his floor is. But with 2 tight ends out, yeah, you could get some targets. I'm glad everybody's here. Appreciate you hanging with me. We're about 1 hour and 15 till kickoff. If your question's not getting answered, it's because I'm just going through the queue and answering them in the order I get them. So please be patient. Please don't ask your question twice. I'll get to you. You know that. Jaguars, no special inactives for them. Arizona, same thing. I'm just checking these through. Matt Gay, the kicker of the Colts, is inactive. So if you had him, get him out of your lineup and pick up somebody else. Don't necessarily pick up the backup kicker. Just Spencer Schrader. Just find maybe a kicker that's somewhat reliable. There should be like Cairo Santos, maybe of the Bears. Josh Downs is inactive as expected. So that means that we should see Adonai Mitchell in the slot a little bit more than he normally be. All right, Fly, I think I answered that for you. Caleb, first fantasy season. Excellent. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for joining. You have Caleb Williams and Dak Prescott. You know what? Dak Prescott has a brutal matchup, and he has a new left tackle, a new center. His right tackle's trash, and they're playing what could be the best defense in the league. The Jets might argue with that, but Cleveland's right there, and Cleveland's at home. You know, Caleb Williams, not a bad matchup. And I saw enough from him in the preseason that I think he can get mobility. I think he's willing to stick the ball in the tighter windows. I'm going to go Caleb Williams and call it a day. Prescott most other weeks will be fine. I just do not like that matchup. Nuff says Seattle leader Bills, because the Bills game is probably going to be a shootout. I think Arizona could push themselves into some mistakes. So I think the Bills D may not be a bad play. I think 55-45 go with the Bills defense. They're well coached too. Ash, Cup or Waddle? I got to go with Cup. Cup's apparently fully healthy. Offense is running through him. It should be a mega shootout. Waddle was limited with an injury, and he's good to go, but he may not be 100%. Just give me Cup in that one. Jeb, standard scoring. She started Najee or Ramondre. Oh, that's a good one. It's very close. Very, very close. I do think with Higgins out, Chase may be limited. I think this game is closer than the 8-point spread, or now 7-point, wherever, 7.5 spread. And so I think Ramondre is relevant for 4 quarters. I think that the run defense in Cincy was bad, and they lost their best run defender, DJ Reed, in the offseason. So I am definitely going to give Ramondre the edge here because I think he's relevant for 4 quarters. They both have upside. They both could do really well. They both could catch the ball. But Ramondre should see a higher work volume percentage than Najee. Volmaniac. We went with Pitts. You drafted Pitts. We'll roll that. I don't know that. I don't think Minkah Fitzpatrick goes on him full time. And I think Pitts is used more like a receiver here. All right, Steve, Javonte or Ford? I'm going to go with Javonte fairly comfortably here. Again, dinged up line on the tackles. No left tackle. They're going to back up. Right tackle's dinged up. Dallas has a new coach on defense, Mike Zimmer. They're going to be better against the run. I love Javonte this week. I think volume will be there as a runner and a receiver. Zabby, and I get what you're saying about the rookie, but this is not a normal situation. Like usually a rookie goes to a terrible team because but this is not a bad situation. They got a good line. Bears got a good line. Tennessee has all this turnover on defense. This is not like a normal plug and play like rookie thing. This is like totally a different call. So Caleb, I hope you heard my answer because this is not a typical rookie situation at all. All right, Ertz. Do you start Ladd McConkey or Curtis Samuel? I'm going to go with McConkey here. Curtis Samuel missed a lot of valuable training camp time with the injury, and that means he may not have a lot of chemistry with Josh Allen, whereas McConkey has mostly been there. Justin Herbert's going to need a possession guy, and I do think Ladd McConkey has a bit better of a floor potential in this game. Steve, Ford, or Zamir? I'm going to go White pretty comfortably here. The Chargers can't stop the run, and you heard me talk about Ford a number of times. So Zamir White should be leaned on pretty heavily. Coaching staff's very happy with him right now. Let me see. Falcons, no special inactives. Carolina. Yeah, we saw Tommy Tremble and Ian Thomas on the IR. Tremble's out. Thomas on the IR. So Jatavian Sanders will be the lead tight end here. Delroy, you got Judy, Stevenson, Hubbard, Samuel, or Michael Wilson. You got to pick 2. I'm going to go Judy and Stevenson here. I think Judy plays a slot some. Dallas going to bring a pass rush, which means quick passes. I think Judy, that sets up well for him. Stevenson, you heard me talk about. Hubbard's probably a close third. Love Michael Wilson, and he could have that game, but I just don't think the 3 corners in Buffalo are actually good. Even though they lost people, they have a good set of corners, trio of corners. So I'm going to go with the 2 guys at your top. Little man, we got to go with Nico here. Nico had like 140 and 190 yards in the 2 games against the Colts last year. I just don't see them going away from them. They know that against that cover 3, they can't stop Nico. They have nobody to deal with. Their best corner is 5'9". So if they put their 5'9" corner on, that's going to go badly. So I'm going to give Nico. Nico just crushed this team last year. Mike, Singletary, Kirk, or Sutton. I think that Kirk is in a game that could shoot out. I think Kirk is still the number 1 receiver in that offense. I'm going to give Kirk the edge here. All right. Ayuk or Ridley, a non-PPR. Ayuk, bad matchup. He may not play all the snaps. Ridley, probably going to see quite a bit of Jalen Johnson. Bears could generate a little bit of heat. I don't know what J.C. Latham's going to be like at left tackle. That's going to be interesting to see. But Ridley's going to play all the snaps, and DeAndre Hopkins is probably limited. I'm going to give Ridley a 51 to 49% edge because of Ayuk's matchup and the potential that he sits some. Andrea, good morning. Ayuk or Waddle? I'm going to go with Waddle here. We just talked about Ayuk and maybe the limitations. Waddle is back from the injury and maybe not perfect, but the game should shoot out. Whereas I don't think that Jets game is shooting out with the 49ers. I think it's a bit lower scoring game. Giles, morning to you as well. Standard scoring, Javonte, Singletary, your neighbors. Javonte should have a very good workload runner and a receiver this week, even though it's standard scoring, those standard receiving points, yards, they pile up a bit too. Neighbors, I think, is a higher ceiling. I think he's boom bust because that blitz that's going to come all day. I think Daniel Jones might freak a bit, but that means Neighbors could have a big play. So if you want the boom bust play, I think it's Neighbors. If you want the high floor play, it's Javonte. All right, Andrea, Hubbard, Ford, or Chase Brown. Hubbard has the highest floor for volume potential. Ford's matchup is not as good as I like because of the offensive line issues. Chase Brown's your boom bust guy, but I think Hubbard's volume makes him my player because he should have the safest floor and he should have a reasonable ceiling. I know Hubbard might split a little bit with Miles Sanders, but realistically, Hubbard did well when he was called on last year, and New Orleans defense might not be as good as it's been in past years. They kind of keep losing infrastructure. Julian, I got to go with Drake London. You drafted Drake London as a borderline first-round guy. There's nothing about the Pittsburgh matchup that scares me. Joey Porter's a nice corner, but look, I expect Drake London to be the primary receiver here in a pass-friendly offense with an adult quarterback in the room. I'm not going to overthink this one. He's going to go with London. Schnucks in, half PPR. You got Aaron Jones, Metcalf, or Olave. It's a tough one. You got three good choices there. Can't really go wrong here. Again, I'm not so worried about Metcalf. The Surtain, they play zone 73% of the time. He moves. I think Metcalf will be isolated enough. Olave's kind of in the same bucket. Aaron Jones is going to be, I like him, but we still got to see what's going on with that offense. I don't know quite what to expect yet. Since if you didn't have another option, I would like it. If it's just running backs, I'd say Jones, but I'm going to go with Metcalf here. It's close. Really, it's like literally these are all equal shots. So I'm going to give Metcalf the edge because I do think the pace of that offense is going to be bumped up a bit, and I think that's going to help him. Ethan, appreciate you. Good luck. Jonathan, is there any news on Keenan? He's just playing. He's playing was the injury news I got. Let's see if I find that on this thing here. He was listed as playing. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, he's active, and that's all we know. We don't know if he's up for a setback. We don't know if he's full 100%, but I have him in my wide receiver 41 because I don't trust him because of the injury, but that's it. And then your other question, I would start Chuba over him. I would go with the safe play. I just don't know. I really don't know what the heel injury is, and I know Keenan Allen's recovery from injury at his age has not been good. Charlene, oh, good to see you. So happy you're here. Appreciate you hanging out. No questions. I know you're going to dominate your matchup. You got to let me know how you did. Big Ham, Najee or Zamir White. I'm going to go with Zamir White here. Zamir White is less likely to share work. Najee will share some work. Said earlier, I think the Chargers can't stop the run, and the Raiders have a good run blocking line. I'm going to go with that. All right, next question. I'm going to go Goff easily here. Burrow, look, there's no Higgins. Chase, we don't know how often he's playing. Goff has a perfect matchup. He's at home. I don't overthink. I'm going to go Goff. Julian, Smith and Jigba or Coleman? I'm going with Smith and Jigba. I really like Lockett's less than 100%. And I think Smith and Jigba's taking over the number 2 anyway this year. I think they're going to use pace. They're going to spread the field. And if pressure comes, he's going to be the hot read. I'm going to go with Smith and Jigba pretty comfortably here. Odunze or Yoshibas? So because Higgins is out and Chase might not play every snap, Yoshibas might see tougher coverage than he would have had both of them been playing. So I'm going to give Odunze the edge here, especially with Keenan Allen being limited. I'm going to give Odunze 70-30 advantage over Yoshibas. I love Yoshibas, but it would have to be against a lesser option for me to consider him. Trevor, need a second flex, Palmer or Sutton? I don't like the Sutton matchup against Reek Woolen. Reek Woolen was hurt last year. He's a very physical corner, and that matches up really well with Sutton, and not like a Bo Nix throwing the ball. I'm going to go with Josh Palmer. Jamie, morning. Tyler, should you start Pickens or Neighbors? I think George Pickens is going to be fine here. They're going to use him on a lot of those play action stick routes, and he can run after the catch. Again, with Neighbors, I'm just worried about the blitz. I'm worried about the blitz because Daniel Jones, I just think with Daniel Jones, even if it doesn't get home, he's going to freak out. I think he's going to dump the ball somewhere else. I think they're going to press Neighbors for like a couple seconds and try to get Jones uncomfortable. It's my narrative. If you think, if you have a gut feel, go with it. But I think Pickens, the pass game has to funnel through him. And I think the play action they're going to run and the heavy sets are going to keep Fields protected. And remember, Fields he got DJ Moore in a 1,300-yard season. Jamie, you heard me talk about the Sutton matchup. I don't know what Brian Thomas is going to do here, but I know that Jalen Ramsey is injured. He's going to play, but he's less than 100%. And I don't know that Jalen Ramsey, he's not going to shadow him. He's not going to shadow the rookie anyway. I give Brian Thomas a 51-49% edge. I think that game shoots out, and that gives him a chance. Najee or Ford. We're going with Najee here. Ford, that left tackle out, right tackle injured. Dallas, a new defensive system to deal with an extra linebacker to stop the run. I'm going to go with Najee there. Did I leave Tank Dell out somewhere? I wonder if it didn't copy over. Let me see here. That's weird. Very weird. Where do I put Tank Dell in? Let me see. Oh, Tank Dell, 36, wide receiver 36. He should be on the screen at wide receiver 36. He should be showing. If it doesn't show 36 on the screen, he's my 36. Can't see where. Yeah, I can't. It's so super small on mine. Let me just see if I can see this real quick. Yeah, he shows on there. Tank Dell. And he's highlighted. It's highlighted on there for you. Tank Dell's there. John, Trevor Lawrence, or Kyler Murray? You know what? Both quarterbacks could be in a shootout, but I think Kyler Murray's going to have to score a ton of points, and I think that between the running, that gives me the edge. I'm going to go Kyler Murray for the running. Texans are the 49ers D. You know what? I think Breece Hall's going to run the ball down their throats, and Eric Armstead's gone. They got people coming back from injuries. They weren't a good run defense last year. I'm going to go with the Texans defense here because maybe Richardson makes a big mistake, pick six or something like that. I'm going to go with the Texans defense here. Better chance to break out, McConkey or Luke McCaffrey? Yeah, McCaffrey's gotten a little bit of buzz, and I know they traded Jahan Dotson, but McConkey has a superstar quarterback, and McCaffrey is a rookie playing with a rookie quarterback. I think McConkey has a better chance of breaking out. Bengals or the Bears D? Bears D. Bears at home should play better than on the road, and look, the Titans are learning a new offensive system. Will Levis, 2 systems in 2 years, transition and turnover of players. I'm going to go with the Bears D here. The Bengals were in a good D last year. I don't think they're going to be any better. And I know they're playing New England. I know they're playing New England, but that defense has just been bad. Trey Hendrickson's not happy. He didn't get his money. Julian Kamara or Pittman? I'm going to go with Kamara here. Kamara, basically, they're playing Carolina. I don't think their coverage linebackers are good enough to slow him down there. I think Kamara is on the decline, but I think that his legs are fresh in week 1, so I think he's the play there. Pittman, of course, is a high floor every week, but I think Kamara is going to see a lot of usage here. This is like a 52 to 48%, though. It's close. It's close. I think I answered that for you with Goff. Christian, Connor, we're going to go with Kirk here. I think it's a shootout, and I think Kirk is going to be heavily involved in that. And like I said, he's a big part of that offense, whereas Ford's going to have a left tackles out, right tackles dinged up. Chase is playing, Chris, so we're going to be all right there. So he's playing. Delroy, thank you. Yeah, if you hit the like and subscribe button, I'd appreciate it. Subscribe to that RotoWire Fantasy Football YouTube. I got stuff on here every day coming out, so I'd love to hang with you guys on the X at Jim Coventry NFL. Always keep you up to date. I'll be putting trends up there throughout the week to give you some action advice throughout the week as well. Sleek, start 2, full PPR, Pollard, Chuba, Singletary, or Palmer. Chuba should have great volume. Pollard is going to be a hot hand approach. I just got to see how the beginning of that shakes out. Singletary, I think between the blitzing, I think that Singletary's going to need to block a little bit more. I don't know that he's going to get a lot of volume here. I'm going to go with Palmer. I think Palmer in this case, he has Justin Herbert throwing the ball. I don't think they're going to be super pass heavy, but I think he catches 5 balls, and I think that's enough to get you going. Dak just got Dak did get paid. Let me check the wire, see if anything else came down with injuries here. See what we got here. Nope, we're up to date. We're up to date on everything. All right, good deal. Asher, Higgins out. Who do you plug into flex? Deontay Palmer. I like Deontay here. Like I said, the New Orleans corners are very physical, hands-on, but Deontay's slippery and an underneath guy. So I think it's like a styles make fights thing. So I think he's going to get open very quickly and just pile up catches. The yardage might not be insane, but I think Deontay's floor is really good. Palmer might be a lower scoring game there. So he might not see a ton. I talked about him earlier. I liked him in the previous question, but with Deontay, not as much. Chase Brown, I think Deontay's safer. Aquatics. I play Kamara here. Kamara's legs are as fresh as they're going to be. Nothing scary about the Carolina matchup. They got 2 really good run defenders, but the rest of the run defense is nothing worried about. Scott, it depends who you have, Scott. If I have a receiver inside the top 36 to play over Chase, then I'm probably going to do that. But if he's outside the top 36, look, Chase could get 2 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown, and if you're in high stakes leagues, you worry he's not going to get anything, but I don't see that happening. With Higgins out, if he's playing, Burrow's going to throw him the ball. So, I mean, he has to have a floor. So I'll play him. You have to have a really good option to sit him. Impossible. Need to drop one for a kicker. Samuel, Eckler, Herbert, Hubbard. Well, I'm going to say Khalil Herbert, because as long as DeAndre Swift doesn't get hurt today, you could pick up Khalil Herbert probably on free agency next week if you need to. So that's what I would do. I would just do that. But the other ones, I wouldn't drop any of those other players for him. Kevin, need 2 in the PPR. Pollard, Robinson, Kirk, Hopkins, or Montgomery. I'm going to go with Christian Kirk in a likely shootout. I'm going to go with Montgomery here because I think this is going to be a very high volume game. And I think I'm expecting the Lions to win. If they win, I think that gives like 98% of his hamstring. I think that at the end of the game, I think there's a lot of closeout work for Monty. So I'm going to go with Monty there. Robinson's close. Hopkins, because he was a game time decision, he's going to play. It tells me he's not 100%. And I don't know how much pass volume there'll be in this game. So I'm just going to go that way. Pollard, he's going to be splitting some work. And we don't know. It's a hot hand's going to get going. It's messy for that right now. I think we see how this backfield shakes out a little bit. Since you have good options. Answer that for you already. Lockett, JSN, Sutton, or Najee. The safest play is Najee. Highest floor of this group. JSN, I like the potential, but I think the floor for Najee is high enough that I'm just going to go with that, because Najee could find the end zone too, and he could actually beat the whole field easily. But the floor is the safest. Spears or Gus Edwards. Raiders are a better defense than we think. Dobbins apparently looks really good. Spears will be in a split. It's not a good matchup for him. Spears is more likely to catch 3 passes. Edwards is more likely to score a touchdown. I'm going to give Spears a 51-49 edge. If you have a gut feel, go with it. Carlos, choose 3. Sounds like I answered this one already. I think I answered that one already. Ridley or Pickens for the flex? Pickens. The Bears, Jalen Johnson probably sees quite a bit of Ridley. I won't shadow him or anything, but that's enough to scare me off, I think. Pickens, I just think, is going to be their number 1 receiver. And even if it's 6 or 7 targets, he could take one to the house at any time. Taysom Hill, Freiermuth, or Hunter Henry. We heard the talk about Taysom Hill and how they want to use him. I really don't know what they're going to do. I want to see that first. As you have Freiermuth is the number 2 option in this passing game. And Arthur Smith knows how to use his tight end. And I know he had Pitts, but Jonnu Smith had 582 yards. Freiermuth is going to be used well. He's not going to be misused like Pitts was, because Pitts had the ability to run downfield. I'm going to give Freiermuth the edge here because I really think as a number 2, he is going to have a floor for you. You want to go boom bust? You can go Taysom Hill, because maybe he gets 2 goal line carries. Maybe he scores on them both. But maybe Alvin Kamara gets that work. So I think, again, your safe play is Freiermuth. Excuse me. Swing for defense, it's got to be Taysom Hill, but he might not get anything. Raptor Jesus going to go Amari Cooper on this one, and Cooper played 5 games with Deshaun Watson last year. Only one of those games was 10 or more targets, but yeah, Cooper had 90 yards in 4 of those 5 games. They have a real connection. Thielen's another year older. Deontay Johnson's in the mix. Got to go Cooper here. Kevin, half PPR, you got Mixon, Monty, Eckler, Spears, Hopkins, Judy. Mixon for sure. Mixon, not a bad matchup. Mixon's not going to see heavy boxes either. And then if you think the Lions are going to win, Monty will be heavily involved in the fourth quarter, and he'd be your second one. If you think that the Rams win, then I go Jerry Jeudy because I think he has a floor. I personally think the Lions are going to win this game, and Montgomery's going to close it out. So I'm going to go Mixon and Monty, but you could make a real strong case for Jeudy. Dude love Cousins, Fields, or Burrow. Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to go with Fields here. I think he runs for 50 yards, and that puts Burrow. Well, I don't know how many snaps Chase is playing. I know Higgins is out. For Cousins, they're playing Pittsburgh. Cousins is safer, probably. Cousins probably has 240 and a touchdown as his base. Fields is going to run. You can't dispute that. Give me the mobile quarterback here. If you have a gut feel, go with it. But I can't see Fields not running. Can't see him not running. So trust your gut here. But yeah, I'd give Fields the edge. Giles, standard scoring. Javonte, Singletary, or Neighbors. Javonte has the best floor. Neighbors is your boom bust guy. Dude love. Harrison, McLaurin, Olave, Neighbors, Ayuk. I'm going with your top 3. Going with Harrison, McLaurin, and Olave. Neighbors, again, I'm just concerned about all the blitzing and Daniel Jones, how he reacts to it. Ayuk, 3 great corners, and he's probably limited on snaps for Kyle Shanahan. I think you just go with those top 3 and call it a day. Scratch or bust, PPR. Monty over Mostert. You guys don't need to tell me why. I always give you the why. You know that. Mostert has some big playability. They probably get equal amount of work. Mostert's in the system that obviously perfectly uses his skills. I'm going to go with Mostert here. Look, if one of them scores the touchdown, they win. But I think Mostert has a higher floor in this one. Monty's going to he's in a timeshare, obviously. If it's late in the game and the winning, you heard me talk about this a minute ago, then Gibbs might go down a little bit then, but they're both going to get work. Fly Mac, Aaron Jones is a higher floor in this one. I'm going to go with Jones, probably similar ceiling. McLaurin, Swift, or Ford, PPR. Swift has the highest floor of this group. I'm not worried about the Tennessee matchup at all. Bears are at home. I think the boom bust play is McLaurin because the Tampa corners, they are not great, and the 2 defensive ends are out. I'm leaving Ford out of this one. They have offensive line issues, and Dallas is a new defensive scheme that should deal with the run a little bit better. Sheldon. Yes, happy football. Mike Wilson or Josh Palmer. Buffalo had all turnover on defense, but their 3 corners are still really good. So this may not be the best matchup for Wilson, but Josh Palmer does have a pretty good chemistry with Justin Herbert. I'm going to give Josh Palmer a 60-40 edge. Warmaster, I do like Stevenson this week, but Christian Kirk is probably in a shootout, and he probably is the lead receiver for the Jags. I'm going to give Kirk a 60-40 edge here. Enough said. I'm going to give the Bears the edge here. I think that the Cardinals can move the ball on them, whereas I think the Bears can really give a new offense with some new players transitioning in some problems. Pedro, 2 receivers would I start? Coleman, JSN, Leggett, Yoshibas, Odunze, or Judy? JSN and Judy for me. Judy probably going to have to get a lot of hot reads against Dallas's pass rush, and Dallas is really thin at cornerback right now. JSN, I think he's going to be fully weaponized in this offense, so I think that's your way to go there. I think that JSN is going to do really well against Denver's defense. Won't see much of Patrick Surtain, if any at all. Jeremiah, Chuba, and Ford over Ramondre. I have Ramondre over Ford. The line is bad, but the Cincinnati run defense is worse. And no DJ Reader. They were horrible last year. And if it's low scoring, Ramondre is still going to be involved then. I give Ramondre the edge over. I think that Ford's in a lower scoring game than Ramondre probably. I don't think that Dallas and Cleveland game, everyone has the over in that game. Maybe they're right. But I think both of those defenses are going to overwhelm the offenses in that game. Go with your gut on it, of course. Go with your gut. I got another super chat question, and then I'll come back to Michael. All right, Eric, you got Neighbors for Jameson Williams. We really don't know what Jameson Williams' role going to be here, but we do know it's a great matchup there. Cornerback Darius Williams is out from the Rams, and they really don't have much else. And the Rams lost Aaron Donald, and their blitzing linebacker Ernest Jones, their defensive coordinator. So when I look at Jameson Williams here, I think there's a lot of upside here, but we don't know what the floor is. Neighbors is going to get targets. So I think Neighbors is the safest play of the ones. You want to go really boom bust as Williams. I think you want the bankable points. Neighbors has a good baseline floor here. Where Williams, we don't know yet. They might not need him a lot. They might not choose to go with explosives. Williams has so many ranges of outcomes here, so he's your boom bust guy for sure. All right, let's see. Michael, did I answer already? Swift 1 for volume, McLaurin for boom bust, and leaving Ford out. And you've heard me. Ford's been a great question all day, and you all heard my take on that multiple times. Warmaster, Stevenson or Christian Kirk. You heard me say I like Stevenson, but Kirk, again, should be in a shootout here. I do think he's still the number one target in that offense. I'm giving Kirk the edge here. Dell or Neighbors. Now, I'm going to go with Dell here. I think that, especially with Stephon Diggs there, man, defense are not going to be able to put an extra man over the top on Dell. I think Neighbors has a higher floor, though. Neighbors has a higher floor. Dell has a higher ceiling. So if you want the floor play, it is Neighbors. But if you want the ceiling play, Dell could have that game. He could have that big game in this one. CJ Stroud could go off. But again, safer is Neighbors. So think about it that way. Rick, more into you as well. Need a flex for two teams. First, Deontay or Chuba. They had two volume plays here. They're both very good. I think Miles Sanders could get involved, and if he happens to somehow play decently, which I don't know if he will or can, I think Deontay, those two physical corners, Deontay wins that match because he's slippery. I'm going to give Deontay the edge here. JSN or Chuba. Same thing. I think JSN is going to be in the slot a lot. I think they're going to weaponize him here. Hard to fade Chuba because if he gets volume, he has a good floor. But I like the floor for both Johnson and Chuba. So I'm going to go with the two receivers there. Ricardo, I don't. Starter said Chase, Samuel, and McLaurin. I would said Samuel. He had very little chemistry with Josh Allen, and that means something to me. Enough said. Cooper had 5 starts with Deshaun Watson. 4 of them, he went over 90 yards. I'm going to give Cooper the edge. Diggs is back from an ACL. Bland is on the IR. They lost Stephon Gilmore. I think Cooper has an edge here. Prince of Picks, Johnny Football. There you go. Appreciate you coming back. Goff or Murray. Can't go wrong here. Can't go wrong. 2 shootouts. Murray has better running floor ceiling. So we got that going. Goff's not going to run, but Goff has a phenomenal matchup. Cannot go wrong here. I think, though, Goff has a higher floor because I think the shootout probability is almost like 85% that's going to shoot out. And whereas Murray, the game could surprise us. I don't know that it will, but it could. So I'm going to give Goff the higher floor, but I think Murray has the higher ceiling. I think there's more volatility with Murray. But Goff's floor is so high here. He's a very safe, great pick. But if you have to swing for the moon, then it might be Murray. Bears are a good defensive starter. They play well at home. I mean, no defense. You can never trust a defense, I don't think. But, the Bears, I think, are in a good spot against a team with a new offense. All right. So, Turtles. JSN or Brian Thomas? I'm going to go with JSN here. Lockett's less than 100%. And JSN's not going to see a lot of Patrick Surtain plays in the slot. Brian Thomas, Jalen Ramsey's playing, but he's hurt. But I don't know what his role is. And I think Christian Kirk is still the guy, and Evan Ingram's involved, and ETN's involved. I think JSN is like the number 2 in the passing game with Metcalf. So I'm going to go with JSN there. Enough said. Oh, wow, that's a tough one there. Kirk, Cooper, Neighbors, or Connor? Funny enough, Connor probably is the highest floors group. The coach said he's the bell cow. I never questioned that for a minute. He's healthy now, which means a lot. He was so good, and he's got an offense around him. I think Connor's your safest play. And I'm going to go with Connor. I'm going to go with Connor here. So I think he has ceiling too. Eric, half team, 12.5 PPR, start 1. Ridley, Addison, Odunze. Addison's off the high ankle sprain, but he says he's fine. Not scared at all of his matchup. Ridley, I worry about Jalen Johnson on him some of the time, which would be problematic. Odunze, don't really know what his role is yet, and let's say if he's on the outside, he's on L'Jarius Sneed. That'd be for a rookie's first game. That would be tough. I'm going to give Addison the edge here. If you have a gut feel on Ridley, fine, but I think Addison is the best floor here. Pickens or Swift as a flex. Pickens has to get 6 targets, right? This one is 50-50. I think Pickens has more upside. If you want to go boom bust, you got to go Pickens. If you want a safe high floor, Swift is getting volume. So Swift's floor is better. Pickens' ceiling, in my mind, is significantly better. So if you need the upside play, it's Pickens. If you just want to get safe points, it's Swift. Bears D, Pittsburgh, Atlanta. I like the Bears here. I like the Bears here at home. Tennessee, a lot of turnover on that team. I think we answered that one for you, Eric. Maybe we went with Addison 1, Ridley. If you had a gut feel on him, we're rule out Odunze. All right, we got here Harrison. I'm going with Harrison here. I think this game shoots out, and the corners are good, but I think Kyler Murray's going to get him 8 targets in this game. And Brian Thomas, I don't know if he's getting 2 targets or 9. I think Harrison is going to be the main component of this game. Austin, Godwin, Dell, Kirk need 2. Dell has the most upside, but he has the lowest floor. Godwin is going to play in the slot a lot more this year. The coaching staff comes from the Rams tree, so that could really mean good things. Kirk should be the go-to guy in a shootout, but Dell has the biggest upside. So I would go with Kirk for sure. If I want the boom bust play, I'd go with Dell. If I wanted the high floor play as my number 2, then I would go with Godwin. For me, I think Pat Freiermuth is going to have a massive season. There were 160 targets that went to Arthur Smith tight ends last year. Freiermuth's not getting 160 targets, but I think he's getting 100. And I think Freiermuth in most games is going to be the number 2 option in the passing game. And even though they don't throw a lot of passes, the number 2, that says a lot. Whereas Taysom Hill, I think, is always going to be week to week. And I don't know that I trust the new coaching staff. They say they want to use him, but until I see it, I think Freiermuth is a very good player who was in a horrible situation last year. Randy, all right. That's a tough one, Randy. I think you know what? I think we got to see what happens today. I think the best potential is McCaffrey becomes something. De'Ami Brown's a big slot, which is vertical. I think the one has the best chance of becoming something, but I think we really need just to see today. So I think that's how we got to look at that one. But we'll circle back after this game. I think before the game, I really need to see them come out in this game and see what they do. Purdy or Fields? Elizabeth, I'm going with Fields here. Jets defense is going to be a beast. McCaffrey's limited. Ayuk's going to play limited snaps. Trent Williams coming back. They say he's going to play every snap, but what is his conditioning like? I think it's a low-scoring game for the 49ers. I'm going to go with Fields for the running here. Good call here, DK or Pittman. I think Pittman's going to see a fair share of Houston cornerback Derek Stingley. That could be a problem. I'm going to go DK here. I go Surtain. They play zone. He moves around. DK is going to have enough good matchups. I'm going to give DK the edge here. I think they both get volume, but I think DK does more with his. It's close, 55-45 DK. Zabby, put your question again. If I answered, I thought I answered a Zabby question before. I'm sure I answered. I said Zabby and I answered one, but put it at the end. I'll get to you. I don't have a whole lot. I got probably got to start answering these fast because we got 40 minutes till kickoff. Egg farm master. And when you say you got skipped, just put your question back in. Just do that because now whatever you did, I'm not going to get to your questions. I don't know what it is. All right, because I get this whole thing scroll. So sorry about that if I missed you, but I did say your name. 100% answered a question of yours. Egg farm master Javante. Javante, he should have a more dedicated workload. Should be more receiving work for sure. Jake, Singletary, Swift, JMO. Swift has the highest floor. Jameson Williams is your boom bust play. If you want to shoot for a potential big game, Darius Williams, the corner is out. He could have that massive game, but we're not sure of his usage. Swift should have a high floor. Johnny, risking Burrow. I would play Field. Yes. You know what? Right now, you got Higgins out. You got Chaser saying he's going to be limited snaps. Love Burrow. We know he's a superstar, but Justin Fields is going to run. I like Caleb Williams too. Fields is certainly going to run. I like Williams too. Either one of them I would go. I think Williams probably has a higher floor than Fields. I think with the team around him, he has a higher floor. Fields has sky high ceiling, boom, 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 bust. But I like them both over Burrow. All right. Terminal sarcasm, full PR. Do you sub out Chase for Yoshi Bus? No, those all fall beyond light. If I have a top 36 receiver, I'm considering him over Chase. But those are far beyond that line. Yeah, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to play Chase in that situation. If Chase gets an 80-yard catch, you'd be kicking yourself all day, right? Andy Sue, should you drop Brandon Cooks for Fields? Yes, 100% do that. Fields could be, hey, if he has a big game, are they really going back to Russell Wilson? Whereas Cooks, he had the touchdowns last year. Eric, appreciate you. JSN or Ridley or Chase Brown. I think JSN, they're going to push tempo there, and he's going to be in the slot, avoid Surtain a lot. I'm going to go with JSN here for floor and ceiling. Got a few PPR, Falcons or Bears. I'm going to go with the Bears here, Eric. I'm going to go with the Bears. Bears at home. Tennessee changing over their offense, some new moving pieces. Moss or Yoshibas. See, the problem with those guys, T out and Chase limited, is Yoshibas might see tougher coverage than he would have seen otherwise. I like him when he is the second or the third guy for sure, because now all of a sudden, who's covering him? Like nobody, right? Well, now he's going to get real coverage. I'm going to go with Moss for floor here. Eric, I'm going to go with Singletary here. Dowdle, I think, gets the empty calorie carries. I think Zeke gets the catches. I think Zeke gets the goal line. So if Dowdle gets 14 carries for 41 yards, that's his day. Singletary's going to probably catch some passes. Singletary has a better chance to be used at the goal line. I'm going to go Singletary there. Palmer, White, Brian, Thomas. I'm going to go with Zamir White here. Chargers can't stop the run. Raiders are dedicated to it. Whites look good in camp. I'm going to go with White for the floor. And I think he has a reasonable ceiling with the rest of them. JSN or Chuba? G-Money, I'm going to go with JSN here. Chuba's going to get some volume, but Miles Sanders, I think, is going to be involved a bit, and maybe he's not, but I think he is. And if he is, I hate to see that work get cut down. Evan Ivango, there you go. Thank you. Appreciate you. I have PPR to you flex. Aaron Jones, Christian Kirk, or Tank Down. Love them all. Christian Kirk should be in a shootout. I still think he's the go-to guy in the offense. I'm in the passing game. I'm going to give Kirk the edge. If you want to go boom bust, it's Tank Dell, because Dell could have that massive game, but he also may not see a lot depending on the other targets. So as much as I love Aaron Jones, I think Kirk just is going to be a fixture in that offense for them. Elizabeth, although I love Javonte, it's going to be really hard to sit H-N. You probably popped like a second-round pick for H-N, and they did deactivate Jalen Wright, so you're looking at number 2 in a split backfield, but Jacksonville's no great shakes against the run. They're not going to stop the Miami run scheme. I'm going to give H-N the edge here. As much as I love Williams, H-N could have you a massive game. I think his floor is good too. And Avango, I think I got you ready. Good. Wish you have a great Sunday as well. Thank you. Pickens. I got to go Pickens here. Look, I like Palmer, but you drafted Pickens to be a difference maker on your team. You drafted Palmer probably in the 10th round of a 12-team league for good reason. Palmer's great where he's drafted for what he's worth, but Pickens is a player who is a star, and Justin Fields can make it work. He got 1,000 yards out of Mooney a few years ago, helped part of the 1,300-yard season for DJ Moore, so we can't forget that. Fields or Watson as your second. Got to go with Fields. Watson's matchup's not good. He's missing his left tackle. Fields is going to run. I'm going to go Fields. Burrow or the rookie Jaden Daniel. Oh, man. Now we get tough here. Both defensive ends are out for Tampa, so that helps Daniels. The corners aren't very good. There has to be a rushing floor here, right? Burrow, I'm just, like I said, no Higgins. Chase may be limited. I got to go with Daniels here. God, I hate saying sit Joe Burrow because he's such a superstar, but it's just a rough situation. And New England might be good enough on defense to slow him down. You lost Love. Should you trade Kupp and Levis for Caleb Williams? So Love is going to miss 3 to 6 weeks. I'm hearing 3 to 4 weeks, actually. So it's not a long-term injury. So I wouldn't trade Kupp. No, you know what? I wouldn't do that. If you can cobble together something off the waiver wire for 3-4 weeks, I think it's going to be 3 to 4 week injury. I think you could survive 3 to 4 weeks, Mike. I think you can survive that. Oh, 2 quarterback league. Oh, that's we have as a mandatory start too. I still am not trading Kupp. You got to trade less than that. You got to find a way to trade less than that. Because Kupp, if he's healthy, he could be your difference maker. Spaceman, Scotty, appreciate you. Ryan, who just started flex? Neighbors, Swift, Chuba Hubbard. Swift probably has the best floor of this group. Your boom bust is Malik Neighbors. I'm worried about the blitz from the Vikings making Daniel Jones go nuts because I don't trust Daniel Jones, but there is ceiling because if he gets past the second level on something, Neighbors is dangerous. So, but Swift has a greater floor, and it's not a bad matchup against Tennessee. Victor, I'm going to give Hubbard the edge here. Ford's down to left tackle. The right tackle's dinged up. Dallas brings in Mike Zimmer to coach the defense. They're going to have an extra linebacker on the field. They should be better against the run. Eric Kendricks and shore that up a little bit for them. So I'm going to go with Hubbard for volume. Spaceman Scotty, JSN, Palmer, Rico, or Brown. Oh, Chase Brown in there. Yeah. I like JSN here. They're going to push pace. He'll be in the slot quite a bit, and they'll avoid Patrick Surtain. Palmer maybe a little lower scoring game. Rico, again, I said empty calories. I think Zeke gets the receiving in the goal line. Rico gets between the 20s, which it's nice, but for fantasy, not great. Brown, again, he's split backfield. I'd like to see him have great, but New England's a formidable defense still, and they're formidable enough. I think even without Bill Belichick. Andy, Watson or Fields? Yeah, Andy, we got to go with Fields there. Watson just has a bad matchup, and Fields is going to run. He has to run, right? Hubbard, Ford, Thomas Jr., or Palmer for the flex. Hubbard's your floor guy. I just really got to see Brian Thomas. I got to see him on the field. I would call Brian Thomas your boom bust guy because if he gets behind the Miami defense, their pass rush won't be what it was last year because they got guys coming back from injury. So, and they have some turnover. So Hubbard's your safe one. If you want to go boom bust, then go with Thomas. D-Mac, Guillotine. Wow. Dobbins apparently looks good. Raiders are decent against the run. Like I said earlier, Dowdle probably because the empty calorie stuff. I think Dobbins has a better chance of scoring a touchdown. I'm going to give Dobbins a 53 to 47 edge over Dowdle. Scary Terry or Tank. Boom bust play is Dell because Dell could go off here against the cover 3, but we know what the target share is going to be. Terry should have good target share. So Terry's your floor play. High floor, great matchup. 2 defensive ends for Tampa out. So the pass rush, even if it wasn't going to be good, it's going to be less. So Terry's your safe play. If you want to go the boom bust route, then it's Tank Dell. Tank Dell, Pickens, or Montgomery. You know what? Montgomery doesn't catch many passes anymore. He was like 0 to 2 targets from week 10 on when he went into the secondary role. I'm going to go Dell and Pickens for that reason. The catches mean a lot. All right. Julian, pick 2. We did that already. All right. Yeah, please don't repeat questions if possible. Paul Corrado and us. Yeah, Tyreek Hill is apparently at the stadium, if not close to the stadium. So he's in good shape. But he is playing. Tyreek Hill is playing. Maverick. You know what? I'm going to go with Godwin here. Look, Chase is a bit limited. And could he catch 2 passes for 90 yards on a touchdown? Yes. Do I want to bet on that? No. He's not happy. That plays into it, right? You got Chris Godwin. And Godwin's moving back to the slot in 3 receiver sets. And Washington cannot cover. I'm going to go with Godwin here. And I love Ferguson too, but I'm going to go with Godwin there. Cherie, I'm going with Fields. Dak has new left tackle, a new center. There's right tackle. Terrence Steele is awful, can't block. Well, they're playing Cleveland. My God, Myles Garrett, Delvin Tomlinson, Zadarius Smith. It's gonna be that'd be a bad day for Dallas offense, I think. CD probably finds a way to get done, but Fields is gonna run, right? I'm gonna go with Fields here. Certainly the Atlanta defense doesn't scare me. It's a good question. Good question. James, what do you got? PPR. Cooks, Wandale, love Wandale. I expect the blitz to come from Minnesota. When the blitz comes, Daniel Jones, what's going to see what's in front of him, and that's going to be Wandale Robinson. Whether he's on the outside running a slant, whether he's in the slot going there, I think Wandale. This couldn't be in theory set up better for him. All right, trying to get the click off here. It's going weird for me. Try it again. Richard, there we go. Brian Thomas or Deontay. I like Deontay Johnson. The outside corners for New Orleans are very physical, but Deontay's slippery and he doesn't really engage. So it's a styles make fights. Deontay has an advantage. Brian Thomas, again, I don't know quite what he's going to be in that offense right now. Whereas Deontay's going to be Bryce Young throws underneath. It's a possession. He likes his possession guys. So I think Deontay Johnson has a great floor, and I think you go with the floor here. Chase. Oh man, Alex, I go with Kirk. I mean, it should be a shoot. It should be a shootout. If it's a shootout, then Kirk's going to be heavily involved. Chase, again, I don't even know where his mind is at. And he's unhappy. Yeah, I'm going to do that. James, appreciate you, man. Thanks. Appreciate you. Julian, yeah, you guys, please don't spam the questions out, guys. Just ask once. I'll get to you. Promise. Sheldon, Mike Wilson's. You know what? Buffalo, we think that their defense got decimated in the offseason. Their 3 corners are really good. They lost corners, but they had the Russell Douglas. I think it's Dane Jackson. I screwed up on the names here. But I said they got Russell. They got a good slot. Kyrie Elam got better too. I'm going to go with Josh Palmer here. I think Wilson's going to be fine all season. But I think Josh Palmer is going to be a favorite of Justin Herbert. London or Marvin versus McLaurin or Godwin. Look, London is a player you probably drafted late first, early second round, and there's no reason to sit him. And I just talked about the Buffalo corners, but Marvin Harrison is expected to be the stuff. And he has Kyler Murray. I don't want to I love Godwin. But if they don't need to score a ton of points, and you're right, it's an awful secondary. But if I drafted London and Marvin where I did, and that should be a shootout for Marvin Harrison. That's what makes me happy about him. I'm going to go with the guys I drafted here because there's nothing to tell me to sit them. And again, your other options are fabulous. But it's really hard in week 1 to tell you to sit London or Marvin when the matchup doesn't say, oh, I'm scared. So, yeah, it's a great question. Amari. Full PPR, pick 2, Moss, JSN, Yoshivas, Coleman, Brian Robinson. JSN, because again, they're playing with pace to give him a slack at him off of Surtain quite a bit. Number 2, it's a tough one here. Keon Coleman, you know what? I'm going to go Keon Coleman because Arizona has nobody. They have nobody to cover. Horrible secondary. So, and I think this game does shoot out. So I'm going to go Coleman as a number 2. Sheldon, you're welcome. Chris, Shakir or Swift? Swift has a better floor, in my opinion, more bankable usage. And I think the ceilings are similar. I'm going to go with Swift for that reason. Judy that's a good one. Well, you know what? I don't know what the question is. Devontae Johnny. I don't know what that question is. D. Herberger, you got to re-ask. I see Devontae Johnny. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's, you're going to have to re-ask that one for me. I don't know who you mean. Big Meech, Diggs or Ridley? Appreciate you. I'm going to go Diggs here. Ridley's probably going to see a bit of Jalen Johnson. The Bears defense at home probably has an advantage over the Titans learning a new offense. Diggs, he got Stroud, man. They can't really put a lot of attention on him defensively either because you got Collins and Dell. And I think Indy plays zone 93% of the time, highest in the league. Diggs is a zone buster. I'm going to go with Diggs. Henry or Zach Ertz? I'm going Henry here. Look, Hunter Henry had 50 yards in his last 2 games before he got hurt last year. The first few games last year he was great. In the middle, he was terrible, and that whole offense imploded. Hunter Henry can still play. Zach Ertz can't run. He just can't run. He was 5th percentile after the catch before his ACL. He was first, which is worst, after it, and now he's another year older. I'm going Hunter Henry. Morning to you, John Brown. Morning. Metcalf, Waddle, or Dell? I'm going with Waddle here. This game should shoot out. Waddle has equal floor. They all have ceiling, but I think the highest, Dell could be that, but Waddle is the number 2 in that offense, whereas Dell is maybe the number 2, maybe the number 3. And Metcalf's probably a lower scoring game. I think Waddle is going to be in a higher scoring game here. So I'm going to go with that. All right. Jeremy, Pittman or Mostert? Pittman's going to probably see some Derek Stingley. I'm going to go with Mostert here. Good matchup. Stafford or Caleb Williams? You know what? Stafford's probably in a massive shootout here. I think Stafford's floor is higher. I think they're going to have to throw a ton against Detroit, and that's really what you want to do. I like Caleb Williams too, but I think that there's so many more points scored in the Detroit game. The probability is Detroit-Rams game that Stafford for the Rams ends up having to chase the Lions. So I'm going to go with Stafford for that reason. Can't go wrong either way. They're both great options. I think I answered it for you, D-Mac, already. We went with Dobbins 51-49. Rob Kelly, pick 3 to start. DK, Moore, Ayuk, Rashad White, Zamir White, McLaughlin. DK and DJ Moore, we're going to lock those in as alphas in their offense. And we're going to make Rashad White the number 3 here. Ayuk's going to be limited on snaps and not worth it against the Jets. White's going to get volume until somebody proves they could take it from him. Play him since you draft him to do that. White's close, though. Harris, Odunze, or Chase Brown. We're going with Najee here. I think his volume gives him the highest floor of that group. Yes, Derek Gesicki is worth streaming. The middle of the field is going to be attackable, I think, and really with no Higgins and not knowing Chase's true status and mindset, yeah, Gesicki is worth streaming here. Mikey, I'm going to go Chase here. Even if he gets 5 targets, he's Jamar Chase. He could take one for an 80-yard touchdown. I'm worried about the blitz for Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is going to freak out when he sees pressure coming. Even though that blitz doesn't always get home, I think Daniel Jones is going to perceive it. Brent Tour, Caleb Williams. I think Miami scores a lot of points. I think they score way more points than the Bears score, so I'm going to go with Tua for that reason. Quinn. Kenneth Walker, Cooper Kupp, Marvin. I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp because they're going to have to score a ton of points. And I like both of them, but I think Marvin Harrison because Arizona's going to have to keep up with the Bills. I think that's a shootout. Whereas Kenneth Walker is a great play, but I think it's a lower scoring game. Sheree, Ferguson is safer. I still want to see what Taysom Hill's role is with his new offensive coordinator. They talked him up, and he could get 2 goal line carries and crush the day, right? But I don't know for sure he's going to get that. And Ferguson is the number 2 in this offense. And with Cleveland bringing a lot of pressure, I think Ferguson's your hot read. And that should put him in position. I think you can attack Cleveland with the tight end a bit. That's very close on that. I'm going to give Javonte the edge because I think he sees more usage than Najee and more targets. Achane or Godwin. You know what? You drafted Achane very high, and this is not a matchup to be fearful of. If you drafted Achane, you drafted because you know he's the stuff. And so for that reason, you got to play him over Godwin. I don't think the Godwin game shoots out. Godwin's a great matchup, but I don't know it's a shootout. So I think you go with Achane there. Brent, yeah, I answered this one for you. So I think you go 2. I think it's a higher scoring game. I think the Dolphins game is higher scoring than the Bears, and that's what I break the tie on. Tracy Ford, Shakir, or Brian Thomas to start. Both games should shoot out. I do think Shakir is going to be the slot target most of the time. I think he has a higher floor. I think the boom bust play. If you need like a big game out of your receiver, but you're going to risk a real small one. I think it's Brian Thomas, but I think Shakir is a nice stable force, get you maybe 8 to 10 PPR points, and I would kind of bank that. But if you really need the boom bust, it would be Thomas. Randy. Good question, Randy. I don't know the answer to that question. Really don't know the answer to that question. Maybe they needed special teams help. Maybe it had to do with other players that they needed a depth spot. Maybe with Jalen Ramsey being injured, they needed to elevate another corner. It could have just been roster construction. We have to wait on that one. That's a good question, but I really think we need to wait on that one. But obviously, Wright wasn't a priority in the game plan. So that you're right, that should be noted. That's why I faded him this year. I thought it was a 2-man back. He needs somebody to get hurt, I thought, to have value. So, but Mostert and Achane both have injury histories. So I think hanging on to Jalen Wright for that reason makes sense. Ferguson or Muth. Wow. I'm going to go Ferguson here. They're both to be the number 2 target in their offense. I think the pressure that Cleveland brings is going to necessitate Ferguson. All right, let's see other questions. All right, I am giving a quick hit answer on the rest of it, get you guys set before kickoff, and then I'm going to get rolling here. I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson. Should see more targets, and he's healthy. Munt or Juwan Johnson. I'm going to go Juwan Johnson because I do think middle of the field will be an opportunity for them against the Panthers. Chuba, Christian Kirk, I think, is going to be in a high-scoring game. Stevenson, Bengals are bad against the run. No DJ Reader. They lost him in the offseason. I'm going to go Stevenson. I'm going to go with Cooper because Cooper in 4 to 5 games with Watson had at least 90 yards. Big Meech, appreciate you. Brent, I don't have Twitch with this. I'm sorry. Tony, you have 2 backup running backs, Hall, Pacheco, Mostert, and Wright. Would you drop Wright to handcuff Breece Hall? I think it's a committee if Hall goes down, so no. It's Elvin. I'm going to go with Fields. I need the rushing and no Higgins. I don't know what Chase's real status is. Allen, I think Coleman has a good matchup here, but I'm not playing him over Pickens. Pickens is 1, Coleman is 2, Brian Thomas is 3 due to the uncertainty of his role. Coleman is a great matchup. Spears or Dobbins. I am going with Oh my God, that's a tough call. Raiders are good run defense. I'm going to go with Spears here in the split backfield. I think he catches a couple, like 2 to 3 passes. That puts him over him. New to fantasy, how do you say question in package? RV, just like whatever your lineup thing you're conflicted with, just tell me which players you're conflicted with. You'll see some of the questions written. Do it the same way, and then you'll be in great shape. Kyler or Caleb? No, I think Kyler's in a massive shootout, so Kyler. Dell, JSN, and White. JSN, if you want a floor play for the number 2, it's White, Anna. And if you want the boom bust play, it's Tank Dell. If you want to shoot for the stars, it's Dell, but he may not get as many targets as we like. So it's volatile, but JSN for sure. White's your floor play, and Dell's your boom bust. Montgomery, Joshua, or Chase. You know what? Monty doesn't get targeted much, and if they get a big lead, he might get usage late. I'm playing Chase there because he can get the 80-yard touchdown. You know what I mean? I'm going to play Chase because he only needs one play to make it happen. TG, Shakir has a higher floor. Odunze is more boom bust. I'd probably lean to Shakir in a shootout. Steeler Nation, Najee or Montgomery. With the catches, I think Najee sees a little bit more work in the pass game. I think Warren may not truly be 100%. I'm going to give Najee a slight edge. McConkey, I definitely go with Pickens. You drafted Pickens to be your guy, and I really believe they're going to utilize him. And Fields can support a wide receiver. We've seen it with DJ Moore. Peter, full point PPR. Adams, Kupp, London, Waddle. Oh, from Wisconsin. Very nice. All right. I'm going with Kupp in London and Waddle. I'm sitting Adams because I think it's a very low-scoring game between the Raiders and the Chargers. Brian Pope, crystal ball question, play Jameson Williams. No, I'd play Chase. Look, Williams could blow up in this game. So if you want a boom-bust play, then go ahead and do it. But I think Chase is a boom-bust play. So I think it's boom-bust versus boom-bust. And in that case, give me Chase because you'd kick yourself if Chase went 6 for 95 and you didn't start him. Nico, Neighbors, and Metcalf. They play zone, and Surtain doesn't shadow. At least he didn't last year. I don't expect that to change. So, no, I don't rule Metcalf down. I watched that real closely last year with Surtain's usage. Yeah, Dragon, I get you. Burrow over Kyler. No, I play Kyler. Kyler's going to be probably in a shootout. Brian Thomas or Curtis Samuel. You know what? Samuel has very little reps with Josh Allen. I'm going to go Brian Thomas for that reason. Pollard, Palmer, Keenan, Coleman at Keenan. Keenan's a little bit nicked. I'm going to go with, I think Coleman is a high floor. This game should be a shootout, and the Arizona corners are garbage. Martin, I would not drop Herbert for Fields because if Fields doesn't have a good game and Wilson's calf is okay, you no longer have a starting quarterback. Herbert is a clear 50-50 for me, but I think Deontay Johnson is more likely to see 7 targets. So I'm going to go with Deontay. I would go with Chase. I believe Chase brings upside that offense. They need some explosiveness, and he can provide that. Big Meech, expectation for Jalen Warren today. I still don't know if the game gets blown out one way or the other, which it may not. I think they rest him a bit. So I think that he could see work, but I don't think they're going to use him to his full extent. But I'm definitely over Corum or Allen. I'd play him over either of those guys. All right, let's see here. Hopkins, McConkey, or Mostert. Hopkins was a game time decision. He's playing. I'm going to go with Mostert. Mostert has a good enough matchup here. I am going at Brian Thomas here over Samuel. The lack of chemistry with Allen because of the injury makes me worried. Anna, Coleman, JSN, Dell, and Zamir White. Might have answered that already. JSN's your floor play. White is JSN's in. White's your floor play, and Dell is your boom bust. If you want to go for the high ceiling and risk a little bit, Dell would be the better play over White. But White should have a strong floor. All right, next one. Deontay or Addison. You know what? Addison might not really be 100%, so we'll go with Deontay. Yoshivas, Lockett, or Palmer. I'm going to go with Palmer. I love Yoshivas, but I think with Higgins out, I think he sees tougher coverage than he would have. I'm going with the Bears. I like him at home. Derek. I'm going with Deontay. I think he gets a high floor of targets. Steve, tight end premium, JMO, Brown, Mooney, Yoshivas, or Ertz. I do like Jameson Williams in a shootout here. Steve, appreciate you. Chuck, Zach Moss, McLaurin, or Pickens. Pickens and McLaurin are super, super, super close. I am going to go with Pickens here because I do think the like the slants off the play action suit him well. And McLaurin, I'm not quite sure how Jaden Daniels will do a lock up with him right away. You got to give me kickers. I don't do kickers. Sorry. I'm a terrible kicker. I have the worst luck. Kickers are all luck, and I have no luck. So I'm the last guy who want to ask for a kicker. I'm sorry, Jen. Appreciate your question. Murray or double second, can't go wrong either way. Both games should shoot out. Murray has a higher floor for rushing, but they both have super floors. They have super ceilings. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Goff is safer. I'll say that. Kincaid, J-Mo, Palmer. I'm going with Kincaid. I do think he could be the number one target in this game, and this should be a shootout, so I'm going with him. I'm going with Thomas. I think you asked one already. Jerome or Malik Neighbors. I'm going to go with Malik Neighbors here. I don't like the match. Dallas is Zimmer coaching the defense now. Murray or Lawrence. I'm going with Murray here because of the running. Quincy, J-Mo, Addison, Williams. Pick one for the flex. I'm going with J-Mo in a potential shootout. I'm worried about Addison's ankle. Jordan, you're welcome. Reynaldo, Daniels, or I'm going to go Caleb Williams. I think the Bears are going to do really well against Tennessee defense that has a lot of moving pieces from last year. Jordan, top of the morning. We're going to go with Achane here. I think Pittman will see a bit of Derek Stingley, and Achane, I think, could get a big player too here. Chase or Neighbors. Conservative. I still worry about the blitz from Minnesota freaking out Daniel Jones. I'm going to go Chase. Thomas. I'm going with Thomas. I think they answered it already. Please don't spam the questions, guys. Kirk or Key. I'm going to Kirk's healthy, and it should be a shootout. I am going with Muth. I think he's the second option in the offense, and I think that the Title Media reports. Enough said. You're welcome. Good luck to you. Ben, Ayuk's Luminous has better. I bench him for Palmer, Brian Thomas. I don't know those options are strong enough to sit Ayuk. I'd play Ayuk. Storm Chaser, 17 eliminator in need. 1. Chase Brown, Dobbins. Yeah, go with Chase. The other options aren't stable enough. Dr. Alberto, Jamar Chase getting limited. Palmer doesn't meet the bar because Chase can. If Chase does something, you're going to kick yourself. I'm going to play Chase there. Yango, Coleman, flex over Keenan. Najee safer. Najee is safer. It's not a bad matchup. Najee's safer. And I don't know that Coleman has the ceiling to overtake that. Keenan's not 100%, so I'm going to move him out there. Jin, who do you start at flex? Moss, Dell, Addison. I think it's Dell pretty safely from here. Should have a good enough floor, but he has a real ceiling. Pick 3, Kyron, Mixon, ETN, Godwin, Pittman. Wow, that's a good problem. They've got a great team. Mixon and ETN for sure. If you drafted Kyron, you drafted him, you got to go with him. If you draft him in the second round, you have to play him here because the run defense is good, but we saw that the Rams are kind of impervious to that. You're welcome. Quincy, yep. JMO, you're welcome. Yep. Coleman or Dell. I got to go with Dell. I don't think Coleman has the ceiling yet, Anna. Dell, I'm going to go with Dell there because he has a good enough floor and a ceiling. Steve, Deontay, tight end premium. You need 1. I'm going with Deontay. Deontay should, again, those 2 corners are physical, and he rates an edge here. Anna, you're welcome. Andy, appreciate you. Quincy, Neighbors and Coleman are close. I'm going to give Neighbors the edge because he could break a big play. Everybody, thank you. Good luck, and we will talk next week.